Hello everybody and welcome to my first video. My name is Navar and we are going to be talking about Ashes of Creation. Let's start off with why you should even bother listening to me ramble on about a game that is not fully released. Well, since you probably clicked on this video, you are probably an Ashes fanatic and need help like I do. I've been wanting to make some videos about Ashes for a while now to go over some of the choices Intrepid is making in their design process and how all their systems are fitting together to make this game. First, I'd like to say that I thoroughly enjoy the testing and the alphas so far. I have a tendency to only play one game slash test at a time, and currently that is Ashes of Creation. Like most of you, I have played many MMOs over the years, everything from Ultima Online to Elder Scrolls Online, and tons of games in between, including Dark Age and EverQuest, etc. What drew me to this game is something that Steven said a while ago, and that was that this game was not for everybody, and they were unapologetic about it. That is something that I feel is important in the MMO space, considering if you try to make a game for everybody, you end up making a game for nobody. I was also tired of the ease that most MMOs have become, along with pay-to-win systems and all the other reasons that the majority of us have gravitated towards Ashes of Creation. Anyway, enough about me, and let us jump into the actual episode. So this is episode 1 of Designing Ashes. And we are today are going to be covering the leveling systems in Ashes. For our background today, while I ramble on about the leveling systems, we have an exceedingly adventuristic caravan run from mid phase 2 probably, and it is about as boring as you would expect. Now, what do I mean about leveling systems? Currently, there has been a lot of discussion, and in the latest live stream, Intrepid even highlighted the fact that they have a problem with the balance between your character level, node level, and crafting level. This is creating an imbalance which has not felt good since the beginning. This is an issue that I have been talking about with my fellow guildmates since early January and the beginning of phase 2, because I can see the writing on the wall that when you level faster than your crafters, that there is going to be an imbalance. This imbalance has nothing to do with the rarity of materials to level or any of those other issues. It is a more fundamental, foundational issue in Ashes, which I'm happy to say in their last live stream, Intrepid did mention this problem, and that hopefully the coming economy fix will actually fix this issue. However, let's go over the problem in a little bit of detail, even though I'm sure all of you fully understand this problem, just so that we're all on the same page before moving forward. So first, let's look at character level. Now, if you are a Sweat Lord, you can easily hit level 25 in 2 days. You can hit level 10 in about an hour. Now, for me, it took about 2 weeks. That is still reasonably fast, I feel, for the majority of the population. However, I do have a life and played whenever I had a chance, and my groups are not always perfect or able to find a guild group every moment of the day, and I have a tendency to be one of those people who only enjoys playing and leveling with their guild. After all, what is the point of an MMO if you're not doing it with friends? Since it takes a character anywhere between 2 days and 2 weeks to level, that goes directly against the problem you have with node leveling. To get a level 3 node, roughly it seemed this last phase at 2.5 to take about 3 days, and we just got some recently done in the tropics, which means about 6 weeks, say, to get all your nodes to level 3. However, that is just a node, right? And has nothing to do with crafting because you still have to build your crafting buildings. And to get journeyman crafting buildings online, which level 25s can utilize, you are talking longer than 2.5 has been active, which means at least 5 weeks, maybe even to 3 months to get the journeyman buildings all up and running. Which then brings us to the third category here, which is crafting. To get to journeyman crafting, if all of the buildings were already built and you had enough resources to build as you wished, I could see a person doing that just as if they were leveling to 25. However, that is under an ideal circumstance that does not actually exist in the game. Since the current system in Ashes of Creation to level your crafting is to simply make the same piece at level 0 again and again and again, you can get to journeyman crafting reasonably quickly, assuming you're able to get your hands on enough materials. So I give that roughly a week. However, you won't be actually able to make anything at journeyman crafting due to the fact that the nodes and the workbenches are not operational, and therefore you are sitting there kind of twiddling your thumbs until those nodes and workbenches come online and allow you to make something useful. The problem with all of this is that as a crafter, you want to make things to help your fellow players level during their process. And as a character leveling, you would like to get your hands on gear that will help you level. Currently, when you rush 25, you can do so with just the random drops you have and maybe a few quests along the way. However, this creates a problem because as a crafter now, you are not able to actually make things that the level 20 or the level 15 actually wants to use that is better than the novice level 0 gear. Therefore, you are completely useless as a crafter currently in this current iteration of the test. And this is only going to get worse if you extend out this system in its current form all the way to level 50. And this is something that I was saying at the beginning of phase 2 to my guildmates. That with all you're going to do as a crafter is sit there making boots, say, or whatever it is, all the way to level 50, which everybody has already reached a month before or earlier before you can even make anything that they want to use. Again, Intrepid is aware of this problem, and hopefully the coming economy fix is one that will work. However, in case it is not, and in case they get the balance inaccurate, I would like to go over a few proposals on how they can fix this system. Before we use the current system used for crafting. As a novice crafter, gatherer, or processor, you can operate through levels 1 through 9 of materials. You can do anything between common and legendary if you run across it. And as you progress, levels 10, apprentice, etc., notice I do not have artifact above legendary. I have yet to hear definitively if artifacts are even in the game. Also, I have broken up their levels as they seem to be going. However, I extended it out to level 50. And currently, they do not have enough titles to make level 50 gear. So that might mean that levels 40 to 50 instead. We will just have to wait and see. Now, this first possible solution to this problem, it was thought of by a guildmate of mine by the name of Recovery. I think it is a very good idea and definitely thinks outside the box on how to fix our current issues. As you can see on this chart, things are now horizontal instead of vertical. What this means is for your gatherers, your processors, and your crafters, as a novice, you can craft any item all the way up to level 50, but only in common. Apprentice, uncommon, etc. Now let's walk through how this would work as a gatherer. If you're out mining for copper, and you run across a copper node and you are a novice, you mine said copper node, it is going to come out as common. It will never, ever be uncommon. It will only be common. However, you can also chop down the nearby braidwood, and it too will be common because you can harvest every single material in the world as a novice. However, it will only be common. This also means that when the gatherable nodes come into being, they are all common across the world. There is no more setting up certain nodes to be legendary or certain ones to be uncommon or whatever. They are all common. What does this do for you? Now, as a novice crafter, you can make that Carfen helm as long as you have the recipe and the needed materials to make it. Yes, that helmet will come out common. However, you are able to make it and help that level 20 actually have a level 20 item to protect their head. The same thing is with a bow or boots or anything else that you can make in the world. As a processor, when you get material as a novice, all you can process is common materials. You will not proc to uncommon at any point. Now, how does this work moving forward? When you become apprentice, you now have a chance to get hold of uncommon materials. Since everything spawns as common, now all the emphasis on what that node is going to be when you mine it is moved onto your equipment. Thus, axes, crafting shirts, etc. become much more important. Most of the time as apprentice, you are still going to get common. However, whatever percentage that is, you will get uncommon during that time period. And as an uncommon slash apprentice crafter or processor, you are now able to make all of those items from level 1 item to a level 50 item as uncommon, as long as you have the recipe and the materials to do so. The thought process on this takes a little getting used to because we are used to finding legendary copper or epic iron right off the bat. Well, maybe not iron, but when you mine it, you have this chance of getting something else. This would change that system and will enable us to make things for people at every level as soon as the game comes out. Yes, the people leveling are still going to have to go to Carfen, kill the creature, get the recipe, get the corrupted blood, etc. Your gatherers are still going to have to go out and get the iron and the slate or the weird stone or whatever the material is needed. Your processors are still going to have to take that wood, process it into planks, boards, etc., so the crafter can make a bow. This crafting system also allows people to continue to level exceedingly fast as they desire. It also allows for nodes to level at the speed at which they are going to level because the node is going to restrict the rarity of the item, but not the item itself, along with the crafters. The second idea that I would like to talk about is not as elegant as the first one. However, it too would help fix some of the fundamental issues that we are currently having, and that is to tie your character level to node levels, which means when the game first starts, nodes start at level 0. Until they hit level 3 in the starting area, your max character level is that of 10. To do this and make it effective, you can't obviously have people leveling to level 10 in an hour, which means you'd have to increase the level or increase the XP for the levels needed up to 10. What are the advantages of this? By restricting player level, you're going to get more content explored because you're not just going to run to Church of the Seven and kill for 20 minutes before moving on to somewhere else. You instead will want to complete more quests because the XP needed is a lot higher, and people will actually maybe explore the quests around Lionhold and the other starting areas more. This also would restrict the quote unquote sweat lords, which means your casual players would be able to stay at a closer level to them. You would also need to change how quickly the nodes level, and this is something that you would have to balance the leveling of these things along with the crafting level at the same time. Since people are now restricted to novice gear until they hit level 10, it gives a chance for the crafters to make novice gear for the people that is a more meaningful use of the novice equipment. When all nodes in the starting area reach level 3 and one apprentice building is built in said nodes, then the max level for characters would open up to level 20, allowing the crafters to now make apprentice gear for people as they level their way through the teens. This is only for the nodes in the starting zone. Other nodes would probably at the mid area of this start to be gaining XP, considering the Sandskull Desert and the tropics. The advantages would be the same as before, and your crafters would be able to make gear that is useful for the appropriate character levels as people are continuing to level the nodes and exploring the harder dungeons and POIs. The final change I have for this idea is once 60 to 75% of all nodes have built something called a training yard across the entire world of Vera, because we are looking ahead now to when the game is live, max character level could move to 30. The exact numbers of this are just placeholder. They can be whatever is needed. If Intrepid decided to go down this route, you would tie the leveling in to these training yards that would be built-in nodes that would then allow for a certain percentage worldwide that would then affect the levels possible for people to gain all the way up eventually to 50. I am sure that Intrepid is working hard on a solution for this problem. And like I said, if their solution does not work, these are a couple proposals that I feel would fix the underlying fundamental issue and give us a chance to move forward in other areas of the game that need continued work. I personally find Ashes to be exceedingly enjoyable, and I really hope that this project comes out well and we have a game that we can all enjoy at the end of all the alphas and betas when it is fully launched. Anyway, hopefully you have enjoyed this little video and are interested in more. I do plan on making another video sooner rather than later. My initial thought was every other week. However, the next topic I want to discuss is something that has come up recently, which is the guild leveling system, and therefore I might be making a video sooner about that than I expected. Anyway, I'll go ahead and do all the normal like, subscribe things. I'm not even sure how all that works myself. So enjoy, and I will see you in Vera.